What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be going through a Reddit Overemployed and see if we can find any good posts. All right, so this first one is it's not about the amount of jobs you have, it's about the kind of jobs you have. Normies, A, do you guys work 3 jobs? I can barely handle my 1 job. Experienced overemployers who found jobs with minimum meetings and work. You have a lot to learn about this town, sweetie. All right, this is a really good post. So what tools do you use in your overemployed stack? Definitely useful information in here. I'm trying to create a list of tools to use to make overemployed simpler while on the hunt for job 2. What are you using to make your overemployed life easier? One thing I'm specifically looking for is a tool that can automate the blocking of time in one calendar that will give different text in job 2's calendar. For example, if a meeting for job 1 comes into the calendar, meeting with client X, is it possible to automate for job 2's client to have the same slot taken up by deep work or doctor's appointment, etc.? I'd love to hear what tools you are using for overemployment. I haven't seen it mentioned yet, but Pomodoros is a big one for me. Never heard of that. Eventually, you will find how many Pomodoros, 25-minute increments, you need at each job to stay in the clear and keep that boss happy. Then you can just set that number of Pomodoros as the default, and once you reach the daily, you stop working. For example, job 1, I have 5. Job 2 has 2 daily. Okay, I don't know what that word means. Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique, developed by Francesco Cirilli in the 1980s, is a time management method that uses a kitchen timer to break down work into intervals of typically 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. Each Pomodoro is named for the Italian word for tomato, after the tomato-shaped kitchen timer Cirillo used as a university student. Okay, so basically figure out how many Pomodoros you need at each job to stay in the clear. Interesting idea. So basically set how much work you have to do for each. This could also be a nice idea for someone trying to move into OE for the first time. They can use this strategy to determine if they have the capacity for a second job. I'm going to give the Pomodoro technique a go soon. I discovered a phone app called Forest, which has a super interesting gamification element to it, which has a Pomodoro mode. I'm curious because I'm not sure, I'm not using all the tools I could possibly be using to make my life less stressful. Chat GPT has been a big time saver for me. The best way to use it is not to rely on it. I see it as awesome writing buddy that I can make use of 30% of what it generates. Okay. I use Logitech MX Master Keyboard and Mouse. Allows me to switch between computers. Both mouse and keyboard have a gel wrist pad. So yeah, you can switch between computers by pressing a button on the mouse and the keyboard, so you only need one, so that's nice. I have 3 laptops up with one center monitor hooked up to a KVM switch. So there are actually switches that you can get where you press a button, it'll change the I guess input or whatever. It'll change the HDMI, so it goes to a different computer. He has a mechanical standing desk. Eventually, we'll get a nicer chair. Currently using a well-recommended chair from Staples. The Staples chair, did I get a Staples chair? I can't remember what brand, but I got one of those kind of cheaper ones. And I have a nicer one now, but that one kind of fell apart, honestly. But yeah, I mean, as a first chair, I would say it's fine. Definitely got to get something better, though. Trying to move out how to do a better setup with mounts. I like having one center monitor, which is whatever I'm currently focusing on. I got a $1,200 chair for $25 on Facebook Marketplace. Look for people selling multiple office chairs. Usually means they're from a business that closed down. That's a pretty good tip right there, I would say. Single large monitor in the center attached to an HDMI switch. There you go, another person that uses a switch. Then I have a single vertical monitor stand for three smaller monitors to keep an eye on Slack messages for each job. That's pretty nice. That's a really good setup. So this person has 3. They don't have to move. That's not bad. I always try and make it as hard as possible to make meetings with me. Most of my time is blocked out with recurring appointments already. You really don't want to let people make meetings for you. Always make people ask for time. That way you're in control of your time. Reclaim will do the calendar thing you want, assuming all G Suite. Haven't heard of Reclaim. Okay, so apparently Reclaim calendar. I haven't heard of this, but Reclaim AI, smarter scheduling for busy teams. Reclaim creates the perfect schedule for your team's priorities. It saves up to 40% of the work week with intelligent, flexible, and adaptive time orchestration. There was one app that I actually found. It's called Fantastical. No, it was. Give me a sec. Okay, it was. Hang on. Morgan. Let's look at that real quick. So I haven't used this yet, but it seemed like a good unified calendar. As far as it doing retracing calendar things, it doesn't have that, but I think you can do that with Zapier. If you don't know what Zapier is, it's sort of like an integration tool for automation. So, like, for example, you can set a calendar invite or a meeting or something on one email, have Zapier update Morgan, and then have Zapier update your other work email as well, and block that time off. Definitely something that is doable. So that is definitely an approach. The only thing I really use is a KVM switch, which includes additional monitor change. Other than that, noting OE specific, I suppose, for example, my phone calendar has all jobs calendars synced, but I haven't synced anything elsewhere. This allows me to keep track way easier through Google Calendar, especially because it color codes every job by default, including personal appointment stuff. So that's that's good. AM Droid Big TV that runs 8 instances of VMware, then a YouTube browser tab. Is that crazy? Yeah, neck hurts. Eventually, I got immunocompromised and stopped that and went back to 2 clients. I don't know what that guy's talking about. He sounds insane. Oh, wow. This guy says wrong priority. Don't worry about how to do job 2 until you get job 2. Focus on applying for jobs, interviewing, and repeat. Every job is different. Every person is different. Best education is jumping in and figuring it out. I can speak on this as I have had between 4 and 7 jobs for 18 months now, still improving efficiency all the time. Wow. One very efficient tool for me is Motion Calendar app. It's quirky and unusable for certain use cases, but the features of automating multiple calendars works pretty well for me. It will block events in all calendars with privacy settings, and you can set a generic message for them. That sounds pretty good. Motion calendar. That actually sounds possibly better than Morgan. Actually, I think I did look at this when I was looking at different calendar apps. And yeah, it was like quite expensive. $35 month to month, right? And I think this one is a bit more affordable. First off, it's free to get started, or it's only $5 per month. So, and it has Zapier. I think, yeah, I mean, it's up to you, obviously, what you want to do. This one is probably more, it has a lot more interoperability or whatever. But, can you justify $35 month to month? I don't know, versus 5, or versus a free calendar app like Google Calendar on your phone, like that one guy. It's really up to you. Separate VMs dedicated to each job on a single PC. These are completely isolated from each other, have their own corporate VPN clients, can't copy paste text between them. Each of these VMs get a separate monitor also. Okay. Monitor technology, mouse technology, keyboard technology, internet and camera technology, mouse jiggling technology, all separate per human and Chat GPT technology and time. Okay, so monitor, mouse, keyboard, internet, and camera, mouse jiggler, and all separate per job. And then he said human and Chat GPT. Okay. For calendar, I use an AI tool called highcal.io. Never heard of this one. It's not loading. Gonna look it up. It's not searchable apparently. Highcal. I guess maybe that's something on the phone. I don't know. For videos, I use Replico AI. That sounds interesting. I don't know. Some of those AI videos, I mean, it's just like, they're just not good. They're kind of unwatchable. Replica or Replico? Because this site can't be reached. Okay, these recommendations are terrible. None of them are loading. For emails, you got mail.io. For self-management, I use copingmechanism.ai. For reference, I made all this up. Yeah, there you go. So he was just memeing and wasting my time. So that's great. Let's see. Uplift desk. Lots of monitors. Biggest overemployment exclusive tool I got was my Test Smart KVM switch. Worth it. Got some laptop stands so I could raise up my laptops and use them as more monitors. Right. So laptop stands for sure. Cool. Okay, so that's that. As far as your overemployed stack, as far as the hardware, equipment, and potentially software, calendar app type of thing that people are doing. I guess it's kind of up to you if you want to have multiple setups or if you want to have like a KVM switch where you swap between each kind of setup. I would say, yeah, it's just totally up to you. Just do whatever you think is good for your situation. So let's look at this post. So this person's boss just admitted he had a second job. I work for a $50 billion apparel company in the data science ML department. Personally, I run a SaaS business as my first job and put in about 8 hours a week max as a product owner for the ML team. I basically confirmed that at least one India-based engineer uses this as a second job. He refuses to meet during Indian working hours, will only meet 2 to 3 hours in the morning, our time, which is his night. Then on Friday, during a really important go/no-go meeting that went long, my boss announced I have to take off because I've got a direct that needs me. Then he paused and very awkwardly said, I know everyone is on the team here, but this is for another team for someone else. It's known that this is the only team he runs for the company, and there's a 0% chance the company we work for is allowing him to moonlight. And then he said, I love the overemployed lifestyle in tech. Good for him. Maybe he just needed, yeah. I don't know what to say about that. It is what it is. Nothing to do at job one, and it's their only job. Not overemployed, but asking this here because of the mindset about work. I'm in my first job out of undergrad, and so often I have nothing to do. I've asked my boss twice to get on more projects, and he said I'm limited due to the funding for my position. Do I just ride it out? I feel like since I'm early in my career, I need to be learning / doing more. It also stresses me out that I only have the one job, and I feel like I barely work, and I just have a jiggler running most days. I have anxiety about getting caught up, even though my boss knows my workload is thin, and advice on not stressing about lack of work. It's normal to feel this way, especially as a new grad. You'll get used to it. Do enough not to mess your money up. Half the battle is acting busy. Welcome to corporate. There you go. Make sure you've communicated with your boss regularly and asking in a non-pushy way for work. The phrasing isn't I have nothing to do, but rather don't forget that I have spare capacity right now. I'm happy to help. Use the downtime to develop your skills. If you're in IT/tech, certifications or learning new stacks is great. If you're not, but you're in a field where an MBA might be beneficial, consider achieve and cheerful remote degree from WGU. You might be able to swing a second job, but it's a tough call at entry level. I would definitely get some time on my resume before attempting it. Fair approach. Yeah, I've sent out a few apps, but no bites. Barely had 6 months experience. Hire me. I'd love to not work and get paid. I'll take any extra positions you guys have as my job 3 and run my jiggler as well. Yeah, literally. I manage a team and I know they don't have much work to keep themselves busy for 15 hours a week. I brought it up to my supervisor, but he didn't bother to do anything about it. Enjoy it. I'm 10 plus years into my career, still feel the same way in my job one. This is an opportunity for you to stack more jobs, collect that first job paycheck while you find a second job and start collecting that paycheck too. Okay. So yeah, there you go. Economy is humming. The employment numbers are good. Inflation is down 5% and GDP is forecast steady over 2% again. First quarter, go get them jobs. Okay, so that's positive news, I suppose. Not really what I'm trying to talk about here. Does this mean employers will actually hire people instead of just making us interview 5 different rounds over the next 2 months for Jared? No thank you email from them. Email, you get rejection emails. LOL. We used to visit office for an interview. I can't count how many times I travel to their office and have the interview with the company. If they asked me ever again to visit them for an interview, I'd probably ask for $5,000 for the visit. Okay, so if they're making you fly out for interviews, honestly, maybe one time, but yeah, probably not a fit, honestly. Contract roles, no one takes ownership, ? So I've worked a total of 4 different contract roles, coupled with W2 roles over time, and I've noticed that with most of them, no one reaches out to me on day one. Is this normal? Like I interview with and technically have a hiring manager, interview goes well and they hire me immediately. Staffing agency always debates start date as it's a function of background check timing and laptop shipment timing. Then when I start, no one cares. No welcome to the team chats, no initial meeting with the hiring manager. All is great for OE, don't get me wrong, but here I'm thinking they obviously needed me, yet no one cares I'm here. For reference, most of these are 3 to 6 months, something 12-month roles, so 3 to 6 or maybe 12-month roles. Yeah, sounds pretty ideal for OE. Out of curiosity, how many contract positions do you typically have at a time? I've never had more than 2 at a time. Any combo of W2 and contract. Ideally, I prefer one job to be with a W2 and another one to be a temp contract for sure. Simple 3-computer webcam switcher. I'm looking for a webcam switcher similar to DJ audio mixer that I can connect one webcam to the mixer. I think there's like basic hardware switches you can get on Amazon that you just press a button and then it'll input it into a different computer. So KVM, there you go. Keyboard, video, mouse switches. Yeah, KVM switch. And that should work. $1,000? Oh, I didn't realize they were that much. Dang, let's see how much they are. I thought it was like 20. Okay, this is just $100 or something. So I don't know what they're talking about. They're saying like 1,000. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, I mean, $100 or whatever. It's definitely worth it for the Switch. It'll make your setup a lot easier and manageable. for sure. OE relationships and finances. This might be interesting. I'm not sure. It's kind of a lot to read. I mean, this is going to be some like dual income, no kids post or something like that. Not really what I want to get into, honestly. We put 50% of our income into savings, 50% in our joint account. Yeah, I mean, this is just like, it's not a question for OE. This is a question for couples counseling. Yeah, literally just going to skip that one. Okay, let's see. So, any overemployment in the instructional design field, stuff like e-learning, course design, corporate trainings, LMS management, professional development, working with subject matter experts. If so, have you found it manageable? I'm considering picking up a second job, but since so much of my work involved project management and working collaboratively with SMEs, I'm worried about balancing schedules. So this one person said they did. I have a side hustle doing training sessions, leading strategizing sessions, and document/template development for nonprofits, maybe 100 hours per year. I have given thought to more, but I like my work-life balance, and there are many times that waiting for SMEs for content threatens deadlines and creates chaos, which I would make OE for ID challenging. ID as an instructional design. Is anyone using the help of AI like Chat GPT, Bing AI, or Copilot to OE? Basically the title. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure basically like the overwhelming majority of people are going to be using Chat GPT. Bing AI, I mean, that's kind of a joke. Copilot, it's not even out. It's only in like private preview or something. So obviously no one's going to be using that necessarily. But Chat GPT is sometimes not that reliable for a SWE because they tend to hallucinate and give out wrong answers. I sometimes had to spend more time debugging the code Chat GPT gave me instead of just plainly searching for the solution myself. Okay. I mean, if that's the case, you really have to understand that GPT-4 and GPT-4 chat is out. So if you're getting bad requests on your code, and you think it's worth, I mean, $20 a month, it's definitely worth it, then just get GPT-4. I'm using it to write cover letters to companies that require them to apply. Oh, that's actually genius. So this person is using ChatGPT to write cover letters to companies that require them to apply. I stopped drafting emails or any doc myself unless ChatGPT has written me a rough draft first. I do the same for entries into our policy manual. I tell it what I want and then edit for specifics. I use as a starting point for drafting semi-formal communication, not AI, but I use a lot of automation in my first job. Keyboard Maestro or Auto Hotkey PC are amazing. Okay. Mostly as building blocks for script templates. They are most of the times wildly inaccurate with code. Copilot is amazing. If you're writing a lot of similar code like unit tests, it'll crank those out in no time. Both my jobs block these solutions because of security. Wow, so people are blocking ChatGPT because of security. That's crazy. Let's look at this one. Agile, what a waste of time. Sweet. How many of y'all have thousands of touch points, retros, demos, one-on-ones, daily, weekly, retro? At some point, someone got to tell these guys, yo, give me a task. Leave me alone for a day or two. Come back. You're welcome. The Agile way hinders the very thing it promotes, in my opinion, which is delivering code and data. I went on a rant today at my boss at Job 3, told him, look, I know as a manager you got to fill up your day with meetings to feel productive. Us developers don't work the same way. We need uninterrupted time away from chit-chat. Otherwise, your 10 o'clock 30-minute meeting is just breaking my morning in half. So now I'm going to lose the entire morning and think, how am I going to recoup the afternoon if you haven't poked me as well during that time? Can't say it was well received. Yeah, there ain't no way that's going to be well received comment. But this guy, if you have 3 jobs, then honestly at that point, it's not that big a deal. I get 90% of my work done in the 1.5 hours in the morning before the first meeting. After that, it's mostly lost productivity due to meetings, which your Scrum Master should be encouraging you to cancel. Same. So true. Yeah. The way you worded that was off base. Putting a target on your back for no reason. You could have said it definitely way better. Yeah. I mean, you just got to play the game, dude. Like, come on. It's that simple. He did their boss a favor. The boss will think twice now in OPS 3 jobs. They can replace the third if they really want to. Sure, but do you really want to have to do that? Show me the other way to say the same thing. I have been trying for the past 7 years. Always had to do the heads down development in night or weekends to get some uninterrupted slots. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Make hindsight 2020. All right, so here's where we go. This is apparently a starred comment. I don't know. Read proper Agile methodologies. I did my PMP and some other reading on Agile. There's probably only 1% of companies who actually implement it correctly. The manifesto, especially no org, is functional code first. Everyone is so obsessed with the bad ceremonies that nobody gives a dang about what Agile is supposed to be. Every org butchers it with their stupid, unnecessary, and misunderstood processes. In the original Agile way, you aren't even supposed to have a management layer. Whoa, it's a system by devs for devs. But hey, here comes middle management that forces its traditional dumbass waterfall ways and hinders Agile from shining to what it could be. You say epic, I say waterfall is bad. Gantt charts, for example, have nothing to do with Agile. The moment you slap dates on anything, Agile dies faster and faster because business never adapts to a missed deadline. Interesting, which in Agile you aren't supposed to have. Interesting. It's an iterative approach to make a product and code better and better. But thanks to management, we have endless amounts of technical debt because there is, quote unquote, no value in retrofitting, fixing, and preparing for the future or optimizing code in general. Functional code first, my ass. There, rant over, lol. Agile coach, I agree wholeheartedly with this. Agile does, well, supports OE quite well. So, okay, that's enough of that. This guy's talking about mortgages. Let's see. Kind of interesting. Probably just ended on this one. It's not loading, so that's great. Okay, so this one loaded. We'll just do this last one. So company keeps pushing back start dates, starting 2 jobs the same week. Okay, that is terrible. Because you're going to be going through a training period with 2 companies. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. I really thought I had everything planned, starting 2 new jobs 3 weeks apart, but one of the companies has pushed back my start date 3 times now, and it will be starting them on the same day. I could not care less about the job/company who keeps switching dates, Fortune 500, but would really like to do my best for the second company to keep that job. I'm considering telling the date changers thanks but no thanks and cutting my losses and losing for another gig, but obviously also want the paycheck if I'm somehow able to make it work. Has anyone dealt with this before? Should I start both and give the company I care about performing well at my full attention and ride it out until Fortune 500 fires me for likely missing a ton of meetings, etc. in the first few weeks, try it and see if it actually works out, or start the job I actually care about, rescind my acceptance for the not good company and keep looking. On one hand, it is a green flag. They are this disorganized. I didn't even hear from my new boss for a week after anticipated start date. I was literally at home twiddling my thumbs, desperately trying to get an update. On the other one, I would really like to keep the second job and be able to do a good job for them and not raise any alarms during onboarding. Ask the delayed job to start in a few more weeks. They obviously don't care. If they absolutely need an excuse, you could tell them that since you had no money to pay the bills for the last 3 weeks, you offered to do some extra work at your old job and they accepted on condition that you finish it by the customer presentation in 3 more weeks, or come up with some BS of your own. Actually, on second thought, it might be better just to say you want to delay for personal reasons and just repeat that as often as needed. You might be able to onboard at the same time, but it depends. Some jobs will book meetings 8 to 5 solid for the first week. Some will have a few half-hour calls. So you could just try and see. Be prepared to shift some meetings around. I like that, but don't explain why. Yeah, definitely just say, hey, I'm going to push. Can I actually push this back 2 or 3 weeks myself? Changing the start date shows a real disregard for your personal life and finances. Very true. I just got done chewing on my recruiter over this exactly. I took the advice of the other person and changed the date so both jobs aren't starting the same date. There you go. So that's pretty good. All right, guys. So we're gonna just leave it off on that. Hopefully, some of these posts, provided value. I mean, we went over different calendar apps. We went over KVM switches. We went over a little bit other parts of the quote-unquote tech stack. We talked about Chat GPT a little bit. There's a few other things that we mentioned as well as moving around the start date. So there's definitely some value in here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll do another one soon.